And I was like, hey, why don't we like go back to your place? And she's like, yeah, sure, we can go hang out in my basement. That sounds kind of creepy. We could go to my basement, but where I was from, like basements were super like a normal thing. Fuck a girl and you'll see how you truly feel about her. Hey guys, Hector Castillo, Poppy from girlschase.com. So today we're going to be talking about PostNut Clarity. It's a suggestion that I got months ago, and I told the guy and promised him I'd make a video, and somewhere along the line I forgot, but he reminded me of my promise, and so a promise given is a promise kept. So for the guy who I made this promise for, I forgot your username, but here it is. I'll try to find you and send you the link that I finished my promise. I fulfilled my promise. Okay, so PostNut Clarity. If you're a guy, you know exactly what this is. For the girls watching, you probably could come to the conclusion based on the words. It's when you come, you nut, and then post that nut, because words, Latin, I think it is. Post is Latin, right? Post. Yeah, like postpone, I think it's Latin, yeah. So after the nut, you will have a calm. Sometimes you'll have a feeling of disgust, like, oh, I just jerked off, you know, I should be fucking a girl. If you're a guy, you know that jerking off is a completely different feeling and orgasm than if you are having sex. It's like a totally different world. Usually it's less fulfilling. Sometimes it's more intense, especially because you can be more creative, you know, whereas a pussy, I mean, it feels better, but it's more, I don't know, it just has a certain feel to it. Whereas like a jerk off, you can like, you know, do your own little symphony and, you know, like rub your tip a little bit and go, you know, and just go, but sex orgasms feels better. But regardless if it's after sex or after you jerk off, you have clarity, hence the name, hence the name PostNut Clarity. And I want to discuss the power of this PostNut Clarity because it reveals a lot about our desires and the impermanence of our desires and also the delusion of our desires. So let's go over how masturbatory PostNut Clarity works, sex PostNut Clarity works, and how it affects our view of women and our view of desire, and then how desire itself deludes us. Okay. So, masturbatory PostNut Clarity, PNC. Okay, so I remember when I was still a virgin and I had met this girl. She was my first like girlfriend. We only dated for like a month. It was the most non-relationship I've ever had. She was a friend of a friend and he really liked her. He was a bit more, let's just say beta. And one day there was like he's a good guy though, I'm just saying like in the context, he was chasing after her, he was in love with her. And then I had this event where I kind of started to become, I don't know, a little bit more popular after my years of being a shy nerd. And she was my escort, not in that sense, but in this show that I was part of at my high school. She was one of the pretty girls that was dressed up nice and was my escort to come on stage in my nice suit. And she was, looking back, she's gorgeous and had great tits. But for some reason I wasn't really that attracted to her. But she was my escort and then we didn't talk and then I randomly ran into her at some fair and she was really flirting with me and I didn't notice because I was an idiot. And then one day there was a meeting of the school and she was sitting next to my friend. And I found out that she had asked him like, hey, do you think Hector likes me? And it kind of broke his heart for obvious reasons. And when I found out about that, I think I found out about it from a different friend. He's like, hey, you know, she asked if you like her. And I was like, oh, wow, you know, I didn't even know she liked me. I was back and forth between whether I wanted to go out with her or not. And then at some point I just, you know, came to the conclusion like, fuck it. So I ended up talking to her and we went on a date. And this is before I knew anything about pickup. And I was a boss because I didn't care. I didn't like her that much. And we went on a date for ice cream. And at some point I pulled like this cool, I had this like friend from World of Warcraft. He was an older guy and he was, I don't know, like my game mentor at the time. Before, like I said, I knew what pickup technically was. And you know, he thought he was this big pimp, but he gave me this great advice. And because he had good game, he just had game with ugly girls. But the game is still the same in the end. And he gave me this advice to like hold a girl's hand if it's cold and like say like, oh, I'm cold, like let me, or I think it was let me warm your hands, kind of like gentlemanly, but like as an excuse to touch her. It was a keynote escalation if you want to be nerdy with the language. And so I remember we were sitting outside. I love having ice cream in the winter, by the way. And so we were having ice cream and it was a bit colder. And I did it where I was like, here, it's a bit cold, let me hold your hand. And she liked it, so she gave her my hand, or gave me her hand. And I was, you know, touching it and da-da-da. And then, I don't know, I just had some pimp ass fucking moves. I guess I had some natural seducer in me. And I was like, hey, why don't we like go back to your place? And she's like, yeah, sure, we can go hang out in my basement. And so it sounds kind of creepy. We could go to my basement, but where I was from, like basements were super like a normal thing. And, you know, all these rich middle class people would, you know, make their basement super fancy. So I went and we went in her basement and we ended up making out. And then I'd watched a bunch of porn and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna get a blowjob. And I ended up getting a fucking blowjob from her and I just busted all over her face. And I remember when she, like, there was just cum dripping all over her face. She went to the bathroom to like clean up and I was just like, I'm such a fucking man. And I ended up becoming her boyfriend after that. We never had sex because I was just content with getting blowjobs. And at one point I was like, are we gonna have sex? And she's like, I don't know. And I was like, okay, I don't care. I was just so happy to get blowjobs. It was the weirdest relationship because I'm going way into too much in this story, but you'll understand because it's funny. Yeah, fuck it. All right, so, and we ended up like becoming Facebook official, and I asked her to be my girlfriend, whatever. But we were so not really into each other that like we would be Facebook official, like in a relationship, but we would literally walk in the hallway past each other and wouldn't even say hi. Like it was the weirdest relationship. And I remember at one point, before though we had gotten like officially together after I'd gotten a few blowjobs from her, I was like, I don't really know how I feel about her. And there was one time when she wanted to hang out, and she wanted to hang out with me and her friend. And I was like, I don't know, this girl she likes me too much and I don't really like her. I just like getting my dick sucked. So I've been a piece of shit for a long time, even before, you know, I was a piece of shit. And I was in bed thinking about her and I was like, I don't know how I feel about her. And I swear, I just came to this conclusion. I was like, let me jerk off and I'll see how I feel about her. Like, I'm pretty sure I had that exact thought process. So I ended up just fucking jerking it and busted. And then she was like, hey, do you want to hang out? And I was like, I don't really feel like hanging out. And she was so disappointed. I feel so bad. Well, she got her revenge by breaking out with me at some point in the future. But I really didn't feel like hanging out with her because there was something about her I didn't really like. If you saw a picture of her, like she's pretty beautiful. And even I look back and she had fucking great tits. But she didn't have a big ass and I really liked a big ass. And I know the reason. I was really in love with this other girl. That was the reason, actually. My first love, who gave me like my heartbreak, that started my like journey. And so I really wasn't that attracted to her. And I learned that through the PostNut Clarity. And so, well, let me just finish the story. We ended up having like that weird, awkward relationship. I could tell she was slowly losing interest and I really didn't give that much of a shit, to be honest. And she went to Hawaii with her parents for vacation. She came back. She's like, hey, can we hang out? And I was like, yeah, sure. So she comes, she gives me like a little tiki girl like gift. And then she gives it to me and she's like, hey, so I want to talk. And I was like, yeah, sure. She's like, you know, I don't think this is working out. I think we should break up. I was just like, okay. And that was it. That was the end of the relationship. She's like, I was like, all right, you know, are you sure? Are you good with that? And she's like, yeah, I think I want to stay broken up. And I was like, okay, because I wanted blowjobs. And I was like, all right, whatever. And she left, and I didn't give a shit at all. The only time I ever gave a shit was years later. We found her at a club, and she ended up making out with one of my friends, who was a complete douchebag. I don't know why I was friends with him. He's a fucking piece of shit. But that was the one time when I actually felt anything for her, obviously, because that's how girls work. They get you to be all fucking jealous. But it was a very interesting experience where I learned the impermanence, or not the impermanence, but the insubstantiality, the lack of substance in my affection for her. It was purely just sexual. I really just saw her as a mouth to put my dick in, right? So through masturbation, I got PostNut Clarity and my feelings about her were revealed. So the way that you can practically use this, right? So huge digressive story, but hope you enjoyed it. If you are dealing with any girl at all, but especially if maybe you're a bit too thirsty with a girl, and you're becoming anxious about a girl, or you're becoming frustrated with her behavior, maybe she's making you chase too much, or she's flip-floppy with her interests, whatever. What you can do as an experiment is be talking to her, or before you make a move, like you ask her out, because a lot of our game, it's weird. Like I could tell you exactly what to say, but if you don't have that energy through the text, or especially when you're in person and she can see it, if you don't have the right energy, there's something that's not going to deliver about it. And you could technically have like not as good game, and somehow, but because you have like the right energy with it, it's better game than if you had, I don't know, the right text. And then the opposite is like you can have really good game, but if you don't have like that X factor thing that's kind of like transmitting your feelings, and people can sense it over text. I don't want to get into some woo-woo physics, even though that's what I believe. Some sort of energy transference and thought transference is going on. There's just that lack of that thing being transmitted. And so in order to clarify your mind, to have a better understanding of what to do with a girl, not only to fix your technical understandings, but to give that X factor, jerk off and nut, and I would suggest you not use porn. I mean, if you do, like, you know what I've recently noticed? There's something weird about watching other people have sex. And we've all done it, we've all watched porn, but at some point in the past couple of years, I was like, you know what? It's kind of cucky to watch other people fuck, even if it's porn. Technically being a cuck is watching your girlfriend get fucked. So as long as you're not watching your girlfriend get fucked, you're not being a cuck. But honestly, if I think voyeurism is just like a lighter form of cuckery. So I would actually suggest that you not watch other people fuck. So ideally you use your brain and your imagination, or this is gonna sound really weird, get ready. I would recommend watching hentai. And because there's something about watching totally fictional characters. First of all, the proportions that can happen in hentai are a lot cooler. You can see this big fucking minotaur, fucking this, petite chick. There's something about watching fictional characters that to me seems less weird. I don't know. There's something, and I've seen interviews with porn stars. Oh, who's the one porn star that she absolutely loves hentai? Because they asked her a question. Oh, what the fuck's her name? Abigail, what's her name? I used to watch her videos. She's great. She's fucking great at deep throating. She's one of those girls like just spit globber. She's like, you fuckers are gonna know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. And so she was asked a question. She was doing one of those. It was on like College Humor or one of those fucking gay ass things. And they're like passing her questions, like weirdest questions from the internet. And all these thirsty ass dudes are just like trying to game her, and it's so pathetic. But one of the questions she gets asked, fuck it, I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up who the fuck it is. Abella Danger, that's it. That girl, Abella Danger. That's the girl I was thinking of. So go watch that video. I'll put the link in the description. And you'll see all the dudes like interviewing her just fucking spitting the worst game. They're all of a sudden, all of them were fucking comedians, right? And you could tell she's a little bit like, oh, these dudes are so fucking thirsty. And she gets asked a question of what porn can she never go without? And she said hentai. She said there's something about it that is just, she loves it. Yeah, she just absolutely loves it. And I gotta admit, like I really, and also if you have a girlfriend, I would recommend you don't show her other like porn of real people. Again, it's just something you don't want to be showing your girl other dicks, right? Even if it's just through porn. I would recommend that for your own pleasure and for if you have a girlfriend and you want to, I don't know, get a little kinky with her, show her hentai. Because it's not real people. So there's no one who's getting her, like she's imagining you and her as these characters, whether they're animals or fucking demons, and yeah, furry hentai, man. It's kind of hot, not gonna lie. And yeah, so watch hentai. End of video. Watch hentai. Goodbye. Nice to see you, Hector Castillo. Okay, so, you know, use your imagination, watch hentai, watch furry hentai, whatever, and masturbate. Then see how you feel about that girl. Have PostNut Clarity and then text her. And then see how less thirsty and less eager and anxious and beta you're gonna be while you're texting her. As an experiment, really, like take the next 3 girls you're talking to, and before you start to have a text conversation or before you send your text to her, get a little wank, see how you feel. Okay, so now move on to sex PostNut Clarity. Now this is the superior form for 2 reasons. One, because it's a better orgasm, it's a more natural orgasm, and you don't have any guilt associated with it unless, you know, she's a troll and you're just like, well, I just needed a hole to fuck, you know, but you feel really bad after. I've had that a few times. Most of the time I've fucked very attractive women, and I haven't, you know, dumpster dived very often, but there's a few times where like, yeah, I don't know if I should have put my dick in that. But it's a better orgasm, and also because it's going to clarify how you feel about that particular girl. Because before you fuck a girl, you know, guys will say like, why would someone cheat on someone like Beyonce, right? Why would a guy cheat on someone like Beyonce? Because there was all that whole drama with Jay-Z. Because even a 10 is gonna get boring after a while. Not like in the long term, like you're never gonna like her again, but at some point as a man, you have just such a widespread sexual biological imperative to plant your seed in so many girls, whereas girls, the reason most girls, some girls are just naturally super promiscuous for whatever reason, but the girls would be like, why would you cheat on a girl that you really love? It's because she's seeing it from a perspective of a woman. And women, when they really love a man, all other men are kind of non-existent. She'll accept that men are attractive and maybe see a guy and be like, oh, he's hot. But if she really loves her guy, 95% of the time, she's not gonna think of other men. And if she's with him, then especially she's not gonna think of other men, because her natural tendency is to be totally in him, whereas, or have him in her. But whereas men, even if we love a girl, like we can fuck other girls and just see them as like new wombs to spread our seed. So the reason I went into that big tangent was because when we like a girl, a lot of our liking her is because we're just horny. And so it's our biology's way of convincing us and motivating us to impregnate that girl. So by all means necessary, like I'm gonna, you know, put as much time as possible, you know, I'm gonna go after her. That's why guys chase so hard, is because they don't have the control to put their biology in, you know, be a master of the biology rather than let the biology be a master of them. And they just chase after girls. Whereas the guys who are players, they know how to, you know, contain their pleasure. And so when you're going after a girl, I would say 10 to 20%, or in some cases a lot, of your motivation, and girls know this instinctually, is just because you want to fuck. And there's a genuine distinction between liking a girl and wanting to fuck her. They can coincide, obviously, in the best scenario where she's your 10 out of 10, but they are separate things. To really like a girl and to want to fuck her, they go together, but they're distinct properties in your spirit and in your body's urges. And so after you fuck a girl, you're going to see how you feel about her. That's why it's super important too to fuck a girl before you get in a relationship. Not only because it's the most dominant strategy that we teach you here at Girls Chase, but because it's also the most honest strategy. Because until you fuck a girl, you do not know how you feel about her. This is an irrefutable, other than love at first sight, which is pretty, but some guys don't know how to tell the difference between horniness and love at first sight. But excluding love at first sight, you need to fuck a girl to find out how you truly feel about her. Because after she gets fucked by you, she's conquered. There's something in her mind the biology just thinks, okay, I've impregnated her. Whether or not that's true, the body thinks that, because the body is just a dumb animal, right? And so it thinks that, all right, I've planted my seed in her, on to the next one, if I don't have any other feelings outside of sex for her. So fuck a girl, basically, long story short. Fuck a girl and you'll see how you truly feel about her, okay? So then, lastly, desire deludes. It tricks you. It mystifies you. It's an illusion to some extent, okay? Either through masturbation, which is it's a lesser form of sex, post-nut clarity, but you are going to be less thirsty for a girl after you've fucked her. Sometimes the sex is then gonna get you more addicted, but in that moment, right, that window of post-nut clarity of, oh, just fucking fuck the shit out of that bitch. And then for like 5 minutes, you're like, yeah, I'm a fucking pimp. Your testosterone is just fucking skyrocketed. And you're like, yeah, I conquered her. And she's laying there freshly fucked. And you're the man. And you're so alpha in that moment. That window right there, you're gonna see the truth of not only how you feel about her, but your own nature, your own alphaness, or lack of it, if you find yourself really chasing her even after that post-nut clarity, or it means that you really, really like her in that instance. But what those effects are a product of is your desire deluding you. So here at Girls Chase, we teach you a process. We teach you a way to go about dating girls, get her number, ask her out, approach her, ask her out. You gotta fucking go in there. You can't just, one time I did that, I just walked up to a girl who I knew was looking at me, was like, hey, give me your number, and she gave me her number. But most of the time, you're gonna have to walk up, say hello, give her a compliment, talk to her, ask her out, get her number, take her on a date, da-da-da-da-da-da. We have a process, because that process, what it does is it forces you into a set of behaviors which are not fake. You're just following a good way of expressing your desire. But you're following this process to override the desire that is deluding you, that is tricking you into maybe acting in ways that you, like in the video with the guys who are being really thirsty for the porn star. Like, their desire is causing them to just make jokes and act really thirsty, whereas if they had more control, or if they knew the process of how to seduce a girl, they would know that they need to hold and halt and inhibit their own desire in order to have the correct path towards the seduction. And so because they let the desire delude them, they're not being optimally seductive. But what we teach is a process. And so that's what we teach in this channel. So like, subscribe, ring the bell. But if you actually want a very streamlined, simple process by which to get a girl's number, get her on a date, take her home and fuck her, and then turn her into a girlfriend and not let your desire delude you too much, and you want that very easy to follow process step by step to keep yourself from having delusions of desire, check out One Date. It's in the description below. It's a course that'll give you very, very simple, but very practical and very easy to follow, but hard to master, but easy to follow steps by which to go through that seductive process to get the girls that you want and then the girlfriends that you want. So check out One Date in the description below. Now, desire deludes. Thirst, there's a distinction between thirst and desire, and even in the Buddhist texts. Chanda is desire, and that's nothing more than the hand of your heart and your mind reaching out to grab something, right? It's the intention to want something. There is a distinction in the Four Noble Truths of Buddhism. Suffering comes from thirst, and the Pali word for that is tanha. And so thirst is, right? Whereas desire is, I would like this one. I would like this one. And the distinction between those two is the strength of attachment to that desire. So here's you, here's the desire, or the desire is the reaching, and here's the object that you want. Thirst is like, Smeagol, my precious, right? Whereas desire is like, Or if it doesn't come, because you can't force anything in this world, really, it's, oh, okay, right? Whereas thirst is like, oh my God, my precious, my precious. Okay? And you need to learn the distinction between desire and thirst. So maybe, let's reformulate this equation. Thirst deludes. Desire just shows you where you want to go, whereas thirst makes you rush, and it makes you make stupid fucking decisions when you're texting a girl, when you're talking to a girl, when you're asking her out, when you're fucking her, when you're trying to get her to be your girlfriend, when you're just chasing after her, but like, hey, you wanna be my girlfriend? Please, oh my God, I just need you. Okay. That is going to be the line between a guy who is a thirsty beta and a guy who is an alpha and a pimp and a Chad or a seducer, Lothario, Poppy, Daddy, whatever. And we here at Girls Chase, through the One Date course and this channel, we teach you how to manage your thirst and instead follow your desire with an optimal process. And if you want just a quick little like boost to your game, it's not gonna fix everything, right? You're not just gonna be like, all right, every time I need to text a girl, just wank one out. It's not gonna solve everything, but it is going to give you clarity, and especially once you start to watch the mechanism of your desires getting satiated, and then you have that window of clarity of like, oh, the world is so clear, I see what it is I truly want in things. And then, 10 minutes later, your horniness comes back and you're like, oh, must fuck, right? But in that window, you can learn more about yourself and also how you feel about women. So don't let thirst delude you, follow your desire, and allow processes that good teachers like me and the guys at Girls Chase teach you to follow so that your thirst doesn't make you a thirsty bitch. Cool. All right, Hector Castillo, Poppy from girlschase.com. Hope you enjoyed the video. Follow me on Instagram. If you're a girl, please be thirsty. Send me the thirstiest DMs. I appreciate them always. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. Check out the course in the description below. Buy everything in the description below. Go fuck yourself, fuck me if you're a girl. And I guess watch this video again, but jerk off before you do it so you can have some post-nut clarity. And if you're a girl, finger yourself while you're watching me. So you can squirt everywhere thinking of Poppy. If you're a dude, don't look at me while you jerk off. I mean, if you're gay, go ahead. I'll take it as a compliment. Thank you. But go ahead and jerk off, have some post-nut clarity, and then watch this video again and learn the lessons again, and they'll really sink in because you won't be deluded by your thirst. Okay, bye. After the seminal secretion, sounds disgusting. Because we are, one second, I got lost. Where the fuck was I going? Where the fuck was I going with this? Right? And so having post-nut clarity is going to help clarify, to hip hop.